All right, guys, we're back here with another episode. I got my friend Ali on. Say hi to the people, Ali.
Yo, what's up, man?
Absolutely. Today we
What's
got a
this?
today we got a very special episode for you guys because we're going to talk about something Ali is a specialist in, as you could probably hear from his voice: British accents or accents in the UK in general. So I, in particular, I've been looking around, like I've been listening to a lot of different British podcasters, YouTubers, rappers, and I've been hearing slight difference. It's got to the point where it used to me, all British accents used to sound the same, but it's finally gotten to the point where I can kind of pick up the differences. Like I was listening to a rapper from Birmingham the other day, Birmingham Brung,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
sounded different to me. So I'm just wondering, to you as someone with like a native ear, someone who inherently like can hear the differences in the accents, what to you is
Yeah.
the British, even more specifically if you could, like English accent? Because I know Scottish obviously is like super different, but what's the English accent you hear and you're like, oh, that's a distinct one.
I'd say Scouse is probably the most, which is Liverpool. Like that is probably the most, not unique, but like you'd hear it, and it's so left of what you're used to, especially for like people like you, people, Americans or people just not from the UK. I think even if I think my family abroad who live in Pakistan or India, mainly Pakistan, they like they wouldn't. If I was from Liverpool, if I spoke Scouse, they would barely understand me. It's so even I struggle to listen to understand what they say. Um, but there's a lot of them. There's you mentioned Birmingham. There's a place west of or like an area west of Birmingham called Black Country, where it's just a few different cities. Let me see which ones they are specifically.
Is
Um, like Dudley, Warsaw, Sandwell, like those places they have, and that is a horrible accent. I mean,
horrible?
there's a guy I went to university with. Go on. Sorry for interrupting.
What makes it horrible? Like, why would you just jump to a horrible accent? Like, what is it? Is it rough on the ears? Is it hard to understand? Like, what makes these accents good or bad in this case?
So it's a culmination of everything, really. So the guy that I would speak to, like, it was like they would elongate certain vowels, and um, it's hard to explain without you listening to it. If you listen to it, you would understand how atrocious it is. Um, I'm trying to explain it because there was a guy I went to university with who had a really bad accent, and he was from like around that area. Um, so yeah, it's they're kind of and okay. So if you talk in linguistics, right? The the nature of their voice, their kind of pitch, let's say, of the voice will go up and down throughout a vowel will go up and down and drastically as well. Like you would notice it's very noticeable. Not like everyone has it. Everyone will when they're trying to exaggerate a point, they maybe will change the pitch in certain vowels, but it's not as potent as it is for them. And for them, it's just that's how they talk. Not even trying to exaggerate a point. They talk like that. So it's
Is
just it's really rough on the ears.
is it like their voice is cracking, like a teenage boy's would? Is it like, oh yeah, we're all over there? Like, what's going on? I wanna. You don't have to imitate.
Kind
Go ahead.
kind of. It's kind of like that. Usually it's like okay, so if I imitate it, right? So let's say the phrase you know. So I'd say it like that, and they go, they'll say it like that. And it is so awful. And they speak very slowly as well in my very limited interactions with them. I think I met like that guy I was talking about at university, and then probably about one, maybe two other people, because where I went to university, it was near-ish to that area. So people who would just live close by would go to that university. Like it
You
was just probably they can take a drive there for about 40 minutes, an hour, and they'll be at the university from that area.
so you were in the Midlands because I'm looking it up now, and it says the Black Country
Yeah,
is part of the Midlands. So that's close to Birmingham, based on what I know about
yeah.
Birmingham. Is it a comparable? Do you think? Do you think the people hear that, like the Birmingham people hear that accent and they're like, oh yeah, this is close enough. I can kind of get him.
Um, I mean, so the Birmingham accent gets a lot of stick. It gets a lot of shit for like the accent. People think because people associate that Black Country accent with Birmingham, and I'd say it depends where in Birmingham the person's from. Because again, like you said, like you travel what 12 minutes and you hear a completely different accent in certain parts of the country. And Birmingham is like that. So I think in West Birmingham, not west of Birmingham, just West Birmingham in general, that would have a different accent to, let's say, North Birmingham or East Birmingham. Like where I went to university, it was a place called Coventry. It's known for being shitty. Um, and yeah, um, that accent is okay. Like it's understandable. Like I can understand it, but it is noticeably different to mine. Um, and yeah, I think they would be able to understand it. Long story short.
So they're mutually intelligible. That's like the scientific term. Like they can understand each other. That
Yeah,
yeah, the horror
yeah,
show that it is up there in the Midlands. Everybody talking with these crazy accents. But so it's good to know that.
yeah,
God, that man, that the people in Birmingham definitely can understand it, but to you it was like, whoa, what is going on here
yeah. Go on.
with this black country accent? Yeah, no, that
Yeah. So for me, it's I got to focus. I've got to pay attention to what they're saying. I can't just kind of switch my mind off and then answer. I have to actually focus to what they're saying. Um, and even then, it's quite hard to understand. So there's that accent. There's in the north, especially like if you go towards like Leeds, Newcastle, they have quite difficult accents as well. Um, Scotland, it depends where they are. I think there's two major cities in Scotland. There's Edinburgh and Glasgow. I can't remember which one is which. I think Glasgow is the one with a difficult accent to understand, and Edinburgh is quite soft. Edinburgh's got quite a nice accent, if I've got them the right way around. Um, and then the deep south is quite bad. I say deep south, it's south. Um, so yeah, it really is like you said, where if you travel not like I say half an hour somewhere, it'll get really unintelligible.
got it, got interesting. So you got a 30-minute drive radius of intelligibility of common communication,
Yeah,
and then once you're
yeah.
out
So if
there,
I
your brain has to turn on. You got to think about what they're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. It depends. So, like in where I live, let's say, so I live near London. Um, like anywhere in London, maybe not East London would be a bit difficult, but it's actually not that hard. Like I can easily understand it. It's just noticeably different. Um, so anywhere, I think London, anywhere basically straight east from me, I'm fine with. When I get to like a bit more west. It's like near Wales, it'd be quite difficult, but I can still understand it. When I go south, by like the foot of the UK, that's quite hard for me to understand. And then north of like Birmingham is quite difficult, but I can still understand it to an extent. I think, and that point, it depends on the person as well. Um, like if they speak incredibly fast, then it'd be hard for me to understand. If um they mumble a lot, it'd be hard for me to understand. Like even I've heard that I'm quite difficult to understand because I speak quite fast and I sometimes slur my words because I just because of how fast I talk. So even if we take me for example, I might have a more difficult accent to someone to hear rather than someone from the places where I find difficult, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's a weirdo to somebody. They're gonna
Yeah, exactly.
I'll get somebody from
Exactly.
Manchester on the podcast on the show next week, and they're gonna say, "Man, those people from just west of London, their accent is
Yeah.
hideous. Like I can't believe they talk like that."
Yeah, probably. I mean, like the Manchester accent, like Manchester and Liverpool accents are quite similar. So like they're all right in my opinion. I think they get too much hate. Um, like my friend he always gives them shit for the accents, but I don't think it's that bad. Um, but yeah, like I remember you saying at the beginning that there was like this you thought accents from the UK were like pretty much the same, how it is in the States. Um, and I think that's probably to do with the exposure to media back when we were younger. So like whenever we experienced media from the UK, it would usually be like stuff like Harry Potter, where they're all from South and like the really posh areas of London and England in general. So it all kind of sound the same. Whereas now, especially with music and social media, you hear so many different accents. So like you even hear different areas of London which sound different to the posh people. You hear Birmingham or Manchester or Sheffield's quite big on online, like in terms of music and everything. So it
Interesting.
is quite interesting seeing like Americans' reactions to what British accents actually sound like.
So do you think? So you think most American media is like a decade behind? Do you think we all have like the Southern accent in mind, and now we're getting exposed to all these other ones? We're just like, oh, this is something unique.
Um, I'm gonna say a decade behind, but yeah, like it took me by surprise that you guys had just realized, or like relatively recently had realized that English accents don't sound the same. And I think I was probably about 16 when I realized this. So it wasn't that long ago. Um, but yeah, I mean, eventually it'd be normal because thing is, for me, I always knew that certain American accents were different because just exposure to media. So, like I knew that a California accent, a New York accent, and a I don't know Houston accent are different. Yeah, so and I know the difference between Canadian accents and American accents. But that's literally just because of the exposure to American media, and even my cousins in Pakistan could tell you the differences as well, probably.
Yeah, that
But
is.
when it comes to England, then they're a bit more, um, they don't know as much, really.
That is interesting. I would figure they would know maybe more about British culture, considering how close they are in the history. But hey, I guess that's really the kind of the theme of this whole episode is don't think you know more than you do. Have a little humility. The world is bigger than you think, and even the UK, I guess, is bigger than we think.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it was great to have you on. I really do appreciate you taking the time to do this with me today, to speak with me, and to break it down for the audience. I do hope you
It's
have a
great to be on here,
absolutely. I do hope you have a wonderful day, and we're going to end it right there,
and
guys.
you as well, and you as well.